This demo is going to be about how to run moderation model using process when you are dealing with a categorical or dichotomous moderator. Now we talked about in the lab how process can be a little bit tricky when you're dealing with categorical variables, but I was reviewing the new menu process has added, and this makes this process very easy. So yeah, so I'm going to show you how to do that. And what process is also capable of now is to actually code your dichotomous variables. So for example, you could use dummy coding, you could use effect coding, and so forth. The data set that I'm using is the same we used in our lab when we were running same kind of example with categorical moderator. This time around, I'm just going to run using process. So we have ADHD scores, which we are trying to figure out if it predicts the GPA values and whether someone with social problems or no social problems actually makes a difference. So for that, you would go to Analyze, Regression, and Process. Our ADHD score is our independent variable, GPA is our outcome, and moderator is social problems. You're using model 1 for options. I'm just going to select the same options that I would for a moderation model. Hit continue. And conditioning, we're going to keep it to the same. Johnson-Niemann model is, Johnson-Niemann technique is not useful here because we're dealing with a moderator that is categorical. So clicking that is not going to make any difference, and it's not going to give us the detail on Johnson-Niemann because this only works when you have a continuous moderator. So hit continue here. Multi-categorical. So this is the new menu where you are able to specify, you're able to have SPSS and or process code variables the way you want. And so that's how process would know that you are dealing with a categorical variable. So for us, only our moderator is categorical. So I'm just going to click on M variable, and this only works for model 1. And it has different options in terms of what kind of coding I want. I'm just going to keep it to default, which is indicator, which is actually another name for dummy coding. We already have our variable dummy coded, so it's basically what it's going to do is just going to keep those dummy codes. And then I'm just going to hit continue. Now remember that if you had a categorical variable and you do not select which one it is, then what it's going to do is it's going to treat that variable as a continuous variable, and then that's where all the information messes up because it centers your dichotomous variable. That's not what you want. So I'm just going to, select M variable here, keep it indicator coding, and hit continue. For long names, I always select it in case I have a variable that is longer than eight characters. I'm going to hit paste. If I want the syntax, it's always a good idea to have it so you can look back at your output and you know exactly then you know exactly what kind of analysis you ran. So this gives us our output, and you're interested in this part of the syntax if you're including that in your homework. But for now, I'm running everything, so I will just hit run all. And this is our analysis. I'm just going to brush through it quickly because you've seen that in the other variables as well. So here on the top, it tells you the model number and the usual information that you're familiar with. It includes the coding for the categorical variable. So basically, when social problem was 0, it kept it 0. And it called a new variable D1, so kind of like dummy coded variable 1. When it was 1, it kept it 1. So for us, it didn't change the coding, but we made sure that process knows it's a categorical variable. Then the rest of the information is the same, and you know how to interpret that. Interaction term is between the dummy coded variable and the ADHD score, and then it centers that variable. And then if you look at the conditional effects, It basically gives you the slope when the moderator is 0 and the slope when a moderator is 1, so for each of the demicodes. And it tells us that if the value for social problem is 0, we can significantly predict. So I'm not going to get into how to interpret all of the information, but basically it is telling you exactly the same thing that you would find running sequential regression and then getting this information by hand. And then it also gives us the information for plots, and we can try running that. But important thing here to look at is that it tells you which variable it's mean centering, and it's only the ADHD score, and that is exactly what we wanted. So let's try plotting it. And it's exactly the same way we've done in the past. So we're selecting this whole thing, copying it, and we are opening new syntax, pasting it, and then running the whole thing. So at the bottom it gives you, and then if you join the dots of the same colors, you would see that there is an interaction going on. So this is how you run a moderation model when you have a categorical moderator using process. Hope this was helpful.